President-elect Donald Trump slammed many in the news media today for reporting a claim that Russia had embarrassing information about him that could be used as blackmail. Let's talk about the coverage of that story. With us tonight, Fox News media analyst and host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, and Fox News politics editor, digital politics editor, Chris Stirewalt. They're in Washington. Chris, first to you. It was contentious at times today.
Yes, that is a word for it. When the President-elect refers to a network as fake news and tells them we won't call on them, yes, I would say contentious is a word. And it was interesting. The overall set piece for the press conference was staid and calm. They were trying to evoke presidential authority, and we're going to have this very serious briefing about his transfer of power. And then Donald Trump was going to be Donald Trump before everything was said and done.
Well, let's take a listen to the president-elect about two news organizations.
As far as BuzzFeed, which is a failing pile of garbage, writing it, I think they're going to suffer the consequences. They already are. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
Well, BuzzFeed put out a statement, Howie. The editor, Ben Smith, a note to staff. As we noted in our story, there's serious reason to doubt the allegations. We have been chasing specific claims in this document for weeks and will continue to. Publishing this document was not an easy or simple call. People of goodwill may disagree with our choice, but publishing this dossier reflects how we see the job of reporters in 2017. Really?
Not how I see the job, Brent. Let's be clear. This was a perversion of journalism. For BuzzFeed to put out this bubbling stew of unverified rumors and allegations while editor-in-chief Ben Smith says serious doubt about those allegations, that editor also called Trump a mendacious racist during the campaign, flies in the face of any notion of fairness or standard of proof. Now, CNN, which we saw CNN correspondent Jim Acosta trying to get a question from Trump and getting slapped down in that news conference, in a different category in this respect. It did publish a story, did air a story, saying that there was embarrassing information that may have compromised Donald Trump in the eyes of Russia, but it held back the salacious details, so I think at least there was some restraint there, but I still don't think I would have put that on the air either.
But, you know, Chris, there's significant pushback, according to John Roberts, that senior Trump official said that the president-elect didn't get these 2 pages of this memo, this dossier, that it was talked about in passing, and that was the whole thing that CNN was reporting, I guess, was the 2 pages were an addendum to this intelligence report about Russia.
And the New York Times corroborated what CNN had found. Whether it was said in passing, whether it was appended to the document, whatever. The first part, and I think Howie makes a good distinction here, the first part is responsible journalism when you say, okay, we understand that Donald Trump was warned about this stuff and President Obama was told about this, and this is there and it's out there, because that is an incremental advance in the story about what is Russia trying to do to the U.S. system, what is their involvement, da-da-da-da-da, interesting. And then BuzzFeed says, Yahtzee, just throw it out there. I guess everybody ought to see it. There's a reason you don't put stuff like that out there, because it is defamatory and hurts people, and if you don't know that it's true, you ought not bandy it about.
Howie, this tone, this tenor, this news conference fired up his supporters on social media. And what does this say about the president-to-be and his interaction with the press going forward, do you think?
Well, obviously, it's been a contentious relationship for 18 months, continuing during the transition. But, boy, BuzzFeed gave the president-elect a big gift-wrapped present, because they didn't just, you know, try to sort of dismiss this defensively. This was teed up with Vice President-elect Pence, Sean Spicer, even before Donald Trump came out, ripping BuzzFeed, desperate for clicks and all of that. And here's why it's really damaging. Because in the eyes of many people, it's not just about BuzzFeed, it's not just about CNN's more limited story. It's a way for the incoming president, who doesn't have much love for the media, to discredit all of us. Because a lot of people just say, well, that's typical of the mainstream media, even though President-elect Trump did point out that most news organizations, some of whom had this material, didn't touch it. He made the distinction, but in the eyes of the public, it looks like we all are willing to put out garbage from time to time.
Yeah, and Chris, last thing, we're getting word that the House and the Senate are going to get classified briefings from the intelligence community on what we know about the hacking surrounding the U.S. election. Barring some other evidence in this particular issue, is this story going to the wayside?
No. Well, first of all, there will be leaks from what is presented to Congress. That always happens because that building has more holes in it than a sponge. So there you go. That will happen. But the other thing is, this is part of a narrative that Democrats are building about Trump as a stooge or puppet or patsy for Vladimir Putin. And they love anything that they can build into that, and they're going to keep pushing it, pushing it, pushing it. And this is going to be something that Trump will not be easily shed of as long as Democrats have anything to say about it.
Chris Steyerwalt, Howard Kurtz, gentlemen, thank you.
And this crooked media, you talk about crooked Hillary, they're worse than she is. I'm telling you, they are so dishonest. Without the media, Hillary Clinton couldn't be elected dog catcher. I mean that. It's true. True. Rudy knows I only tell the truth. I only tell the truth. You know, they do focus groups after the debate, and we won every poll. We won. Did you see those polls? Every poll. 80-20, 90-10. I'd get a list, but we don't want to put it, but every poll. But CNN did a focus group. And by the way, Frank Luntz did a focus group, and the focus group, that one we liked, Frank Luntz, good guy, 18-4 in favor of Trump, right? CNN did a focus group. Unfortunately, oh, it's so sad, they got caught trying to convince people and find the right people so they could give a phony vote. CNN is a disgrace. Disgrace. Oh, they just turned off their camera. So funny, they just turned off their camera. I love it.
Jim Lockwood.
If you like what you saw, ladies and gentlemen, hit the subscribe button so you can get updates whenever we post videos, which we do multiple times a day. And this is the Jim Lockwood Show, where the blind continues to fight the blind.
Hello friends, this is Sam Chaney reporting for WeaponizedNews.com. Today is November 21st, 2016. And today Donald Trump had a meeting with top mainstream media executives and anchors. There's Trump, Gayle King, George Stephanopoulos, and Wolf Blitzer. Report out of the Washington Post, Donald Trump's media summit was an effing firing squad. Donald Trump scolded media big shots during an off-the-record Trump Tower sit-down Monday, sources told the New York Post. It was like a effing firing squad, one source said of the encounter. Trump started with CNN chief Jeff Zucker and said, "I hate your network. Everyone at CNN is a liar, and you should be ashamed," the source said. The meeting was a total disaster. The TV execs and anchors went in there thinking they would be discussing the access they would get to the Trump administration, but instead they got a Trump-style dressing down, the source added. A second source confirmed the fireworks. The meeting took place in a big boardroom, and there were about 30 or 40 people, including the big news anchors from all the networks, the source said. Trump kept saying, "We're in a room of liars, the deceitful, dishonest media who got it all wrong." He addressed everyone in the room, calling the media dishonest, deceitful liars. He called out Jeff Zucker by name and said everyone at CNN was a liar, and CNN was a network of liars, the source said. Trump didn't say NBC reporter Katie Tur by name, but talked about an NBC female correspondent who got it wrong, then referred to a horrible network correspondent who cried when Hillary lost, who hosted a debate, which was Martha Raddatz, who was also in the room. The stunned reporters tried to get a word in edgewise to discuss access to a Trump administration. Joke, fraud, wolf blitzer, lying criminal scumbag, corrupt, working for the Hillary Clinton campaign. CBS Good Morning co-host Gayle King did not stand up, but asked some question. "How do you propose we, the media, work with you?" Chuck Todd asked some pretty pointed questions. David Muir asked, "How are you going to cope living in D.C. while your family's in New York City?" It was a horrible meeting. Trump spokeswoman Kellyanne Conway told reporters the gathering went well. "Excellent meeting with the top executives of the major networks," she said during a gaggle in the lobby of Trump Tower. "Pretty unprecedented meeting we put together in 2 days." The meeting was off the record, meaning the participants agreed not to talk about the substance of the conversations. The hour-long session included top execs from network and cable news channels. Among the attendees were lying criminals from NBC, Deborah Turnus, Lester Holt, and Chuck Todd, ABC's James Golston, George Stephanopoulos, David Muir, and Martha Raddatz. Also, CBS's Nora O'Donnell, John Dickerson, Charlie Rose, and Christopher Isham, and King. Fox News's Bill Shine, Jack Abernathy, Jay Wallace, Susan Scott, and MSNBC's Phil Griffith, and CNN's Jeff Zucker again, and Aaron Burnett. The Trump team was no immediate comment. So, props to Donald Trump for chewing their butt out and scolding them. It was like a effing firing squad. They deserve it. They are lying criminals. He called them to their face. Lying criminals. They went there expecting to get access to Donald Trump, which is truly insane with the way they treated Donald Trump. So once again, Donald Trump standing up to the lying, corrupt mainstream media. Great job. And then later today, as I reported earlier, he bypassed them, posting a Twitter message, video message about policy plans for his first 100 days in office, the biggest of which are issuing an executive order rescinding the Trans-Pacific Partnership and many other positive steps to put America first and make America great again. Quoting Donald Trump, "Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo." Do your own research about the lying, fake news coming out of the mainstream media. Don't listen to these lying criminals, but don't trust me. Do your own research. Subscribe to this channel. Speak out and take action.